Saturday. This is Last Call, powered by WagerTalk TV. We've got a star-studded lineup for you today. We've got some Rob Veno. We're talking some USFL. We've got staff son, Jeff Michaels, talking some Major League Baseball. And then we're going to bat clean up with Andrew McInnis. Even though batting cleanup's fourth, that's okay. Andrew McInnis is going to be coming in the third slot, talking some CFL. He had a nice little winner there himself last night. Somehow squeaked that one out. I was ready to send a really mean text message. You guys know me. Don't share your plays with me. Expect me to be a super happy camper if they're down at halftime. That being said, we're going to get this show on the road. You guys know what to do. Jump in the comment section. Paco, always first on the hustle. Looks like he's first here this morning. Yo, what's going on? Sam? Well, Paco, I've got a brunch to make, so we are going to hit this show hard. We're going to get to running. David, Gary, MLB show from yesterday was spot on. Thank you guys for the three winners with Cincinnati and Tampa. Let's fucking go. Maybe that's what we should be doing in Major League Baseball, because it has been kicking my ass. Personally, I said I wasn't going to bet it. I'm tailing some really sharp guys, and it has been a roller coaster ride of the season. We'll see if Jeff Michaels can't help us out with an easy winner today. But let's bring in Rob Veno first. Rob, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know a lot about the USFL, but I do know that Birmingham was the winner of the championship last year. They're on your card today. Let's break this game down.
Good morning, Kelly. Glad to be here. Hey, I'll try and guide you through, as well as the audience, a little bit of background here. It is the final week of the regular season for USFL, and yes, Birmingham was the league champion last year. They're the only team out of the 8 participating North and South Division that has clinched a playoff spot. And not only have they clinched a playoff spot, but they've clinched home field with that playoff spot. So, in NFL, Kelly, we would think, nothing to play for, rest your starters, that type of deal. It doesn't work exactly that way in the USFL. Let's get to the other side real quick here. Memphis, they need to win just to have a chance to get into the playoffs. If they do win, and if Houston beats New Orleans tomorrow, then that South Division will be up to a 3-way tiebreaker, which I will not take the time to explain because it goes deep down to like the third or fourth possibility. So we'll skip through that. Just know that Memphis needs to win here. And they probably need to win by margin, because at some point in time during those tiebreakers, point differential comes into effect. Generally speaking, when I talk football, basketball, or baseball, I come on with all these fundamental matchups, because that's the way I handicap from a fundamental aspect. But here, I think there's 4, not just 1, but 4 situational and motivational, whatever you want to call them, edges toward the home underdog here, which is Memphis. Let's start with their sense of urgency that I just talked about. They have to win to get in. Move on to the next one. They're probably in a real good bounce back mode here. They were red hot heading into last week. I think they were winners of 5 straight. And then they get embarrassed by New Orleans at home, 31-3. Lightning storm affects that game. They go sit for a couple of hours. But Memphis was out of it from the get-go due to turnovers. They were -5 in the turnover margin category. Third thing here is the potential for Birmingham to maybe let off the gas. I spoke of you can't rest your starters. That's because the depth charts are not as vast as they are in the NFL. You don't carry 53 men here, so somebody's got to play. But it won't stop head coach Skip Holtz of Birmingham from maybe managing the playing time of his starters, from possibly going to a conservative game plan to preserve their health. So there's still ways to get around this have to play some of your starters deal. But the biggest thing here, for those who do follow the league, Memphis lost to Birmingham 42-2 way back in the second week of the season. Ex-Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator Todd Haley is the coach of Memphis. After the game, because this league is all mic'd up, you get to hear everything. He took exception to a late touchdown by Birmingham, up 35-2. With 1:57 left in the game, they scored to make it 42-2. He went out to the field after the game and let Skip Holtz have it in no uncertain terms. He was PO'd. I'm sure he's had this game circled since that day. Todd Haley's not a guy who forgets stuff like this. This league isn't exactly like the NFL. You don't play by gentlemen's rules. These guys are all trying to make an NFL roster off of this league. So you do continue to try and score, but Haley didn't think that was cool. So there's 4 reasons right there, and pretty significant reasons, situational, motivational, to play the home dog here. They're getting 4. I think it's the right side, Kel. They're good enough to get this thing done. The other side's the better team, but I don't know. If all things were equal, that would be different. They're not all equal here today. Let's shoot with Memphis +4 at home against Birmingham.
Rob is speaking my language while we still have about, 7 weeks or so before we start seeing some NFL preseason. We have lots of football still to watch. Just we'll call it more minor league football, if you will. Love those home dogs. I will be joining you, Rob, with Memphis plus the points at Rob Veno Sports on Twitter. Make sure you guys are giving Rob a follow. I apologize because I don't have a Slack working today. So if you guys are jumping in the comment section, have a question for Rob before I let him go. Our producer Joe is going to throw it up on the screen. If not, Rob has just been crushing 21-9. That's who I should be following in MLB, not my friends. All jokes aside, if those guys are watching, I still love you, except right now my bankroll does not. I'm going to let Rob go. If there's no further questions, again, guys, jump in the comment section. That's what this show is all about, is us helping you guys out. Rob giving out a nice freebie, hopefully winner. We do have a question for Veno. It's going to pop up here on the screen. Joe was going to send me a little text here. There we go. Snell first 5. Ooh. Let's hear it, Veno. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Good morning, Paco. Snell, first 5. Boy, Zach Eflin has been, and I'm in the Philadelphia area, right? And Zach Eflin was not a Philly fan favorite while he was here, but certainly turned the corner with Tampa Bay. They do something with their pitchers. I'd be hesitant, although Blake Snell's been terrific. So has Eflin. It's a real tough pitching matchup. I'd probably be looking first 5 under more than anything. Rather than inside, I'd probably look at both of these guys to perform well in San Diego tonight. Tampa Bay had the big win last night, but that's the way I'd look, Paco. It's not a game I've played. Probably a game I won't get near, but if I was going to, I'd probably look first 5 under with these two starters.
Awesome. Thanks, Veno. Again, make sure you guys are following Veno at Rob Veno Sports on Twitter. Let's bring in, let's call it a Father's Day special. Jeff Michaels at JM Sports CLE on Twitter. We're going to talk some Baltimore Orioles today. And right now, you can get 40% off an all-access pass for either Jeff or Ralph using promo code Father's Day 23 over at WagerTalk.com. Good morning, Jeff. Happy Saturday. Maybe you can help me get out of this baseball slump with a nice little W.
Yeah, had a nice little bounce back day yesterday. Actually, I was on Cincinnati and Tampa, like they said before. I actually took Cincinnati on the run line and they won outright. But I'm looking at another dog spot here, actually. Baltimore, we're looking at a dog against the Cubs here. But, a couple different aspects that point me towards Baltimore here. First and foremost, looking at the starting pitchers, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, even, we're looking at Justin Steele as potentially being in conversation for Cy Young. Obviously it was early in the year, but after starting out insanely impressive, he hasn't made a start since May 31st. So a little over 2 weeks, he's been out with some injuries, and now he's led the Cubs to 4 straight losses, and he's lost 3 straight daytime starts. Baltimore's got Kyle Gibson on the mound. He started out red hot too. He had a couple shaky starts, but he's settled down again. He's won 4 out of his last 5, and he's 5-3 in his 8 road starts. Plus, you look at the game yesterday, Baltimore allowed 10 runs for just the 5th time this season that they allowed 10 or more. But they're 3-1 to follow, 3-0 on the road in that next game, and they're holding opponents to just 3 runs. But the thing that stood out to me the most, 15-3 this year after losing by 2 or more runs in the previous game. They're bouncing back. They're 6-0 on the road in the next game, but they're 11-1 in the last 12 opportunities when they played the same team again the next day. So losing by more than 1 run, playing that same team again, Baltimore's not letting it slip twice. And they got a little break here from their division. And the 4 of the 5 most profitable and best winning percentages in non-divisional games all come from this AL East. And Baltimore's right up there with them. They've been impressive against lefties. They've been impressive on the road. And the Cubs have struggled against righties recently here. So I'm going with Baltimore as a dog.
All
Sorry,
right.
I'm reading too. I'm
We
reading
got,
as we
there
go.
we go.
Yeah,
Key to Vegas. I'm worried about Gibson. He's either great or one of the worst pitchers in baseball. He's so consistent. Jeff, do you agree with that statement, or maybe it's a little overblown?
I think it's funny because I think he's consistently inconsistent because he's been streaky. But you look at those streaks, and within those streaks, he has been consistent. He had 6 or 7 consecutive good starts. Then he had 3 consecutive bad starts. Yeah, he did have a pretty shaky run, but he's looked pretty good in the last 5. So I think we're back on a good run here for Gibson. And funny enough, I'd rather back him on the road than I would at home. So, especially as an underdog here.
Plus, 119 looks to be the best money line on the Wager Talk odds screen right now. If you want to tail Jeff and the O's, sometimes I feel like there are public teams, Jeff, in every single sport, and the Cubs seem to be one of those that's up there with whether it's the Astros or the Yankees that people love to get their money behind. So sometimes their pricing can be a little bit off, but let's see what Omar has to say here. Omar Chavez, Jeff, thoughts on an under strikeout prop for Shane Bieber?
Yes. Yeah, let me yeah, I'll leave it pretty much solely at that. I haven't been impressed with Bieber's starts recently. And the way that Arizona's been hitting the ball, especially against righties, yeah, I agree. I haven't been backing, being a Guardians fan at heart, I haven't been backing Bieber as much as I have in the recent years, especially in the strikeout market. The whole Cleveland pitching staff strikeout market is down. They're pitching ground balls this year, and they're just not racking up those Ks. And you're going against an Arizona team tonight that's impressive too. So I agree there. I'd definitely be looking under with Bieber's strikeouts tonight.
All right. Any other questions from the chat? If, our lovely producers just want to throw those on the screen. Just a reminder Father's Day 23 gets you 40% off all access. That is a 7-day pass for either Stat Daddy or Stat Son. Renzo wants to know Dodgers. He was looking at the under 8.5 here today.
I took a peek at it. I like the spot as an under, but it is kind of hard with these lineups. I think both lineups are hot, and I think the Dodgers have a lot of potential. I mean, Miller's been pitching well for the Dodgers, but he is young. He's inexperienced, so I think he's due to get hit here shortly. I don't know exactly if it'll be tonight. I'm not gonna be on this total. I would be hesitant to go either way, to be honest, but I can't really find a reason to talk you out of either side there. I think there's too much potential to bet against a Dodgers over there.
Yeah, the Dodgers overs, man. Looked. I had the under last night, under 8.5 plus money. Looked decent there for a little bit, and then it got blown wide open, especially there in extra innings. As I mentioned, that the baseball season is not for the faint of heart. Jeff, do you have anything you'd like to add before I let you go?
Yeah, because that was actually my top premium play for the day as well. Been on a little bit of a rough streak, but bounced back 2-0 yesterday. So looking to keep it rolling and get that all access pass and get the most of the every day moving forward.
Awesome stuff. Thank you to Jeff again at JMCLE Sports on Twitter. Make sure you guys are giving him a follow. Let's bring in Andrew McInnis. Oh, Daniel asking if I have any Boston trips. Yeah, I just booked a Boston trip yesterday. I'm going to be meeting some of my friends up there. We're going to go to Fenway. I believe they play the A's. I think we're going to the July 8th game. I was just sending out text messages this morning. So yeah, I will be in Boston just after 4th of July. Looking forward to it. Hopefully this time it does not rain the entire time I am there. Let's bring in Andrew McInnis, a guy that knows something about some rain, living up there in the middle of nowhere. All he's got is time to handicap CFL this summer. Andrew, how have you been, buddy?
Doing very well, Kelly. As much as I love the NHL, I'm kind of happy it's over. Turn the page and handicap CFL, like you said, all summer. I wouldn't agree with you. There's nothing to do here, but I will say I'm spending a lot of my time handicapping the CFL, and it was a pleasure to be on Teddy Cover's show yesterday as well, cover it, talking about CFL with him. So hopefully I can try and grow this game.
I love it. Yeah, listen, as I said to Vino, we're still almost 2 months out from pretty much any semblance of Americanized football, right? I
Yes.
mean, yes, we have the USFL, yes, we have the CFL, but it's not for everybody. And that's why I don't even bother to try because I've got guys like you who do spend your time handicapping it. You have watched the CFL your entire life. You know these teams inside and out. You and I did a really nice East and West preview getting ready for the season. And you've got a free play today on the Edmonton Elks versus the BC Lions. Let's break that one down.
And I will say, Kelly, the unfortunate part is a lot of people here don't even like it. A lot of people where I live don't even like the CFL. So I have to convince my own friends to watch these games. And usually they won't even watch it without putting some money down on it. But look, in this game, I'm looking at the over, but we're going to go with the first half over. BC Lions, Edmonton Elks. This is the home opener for the BC Lions. They play inside a dome, which if you know the weather out there in Western Canada, it definitely makes an impact, especially sometimes with the winds, the way it goes. You're definitely looking to bet overs when you're playing in BC. Now, looking at this matchup, there's a reason I'm looking at the first half. And to be honest with you, a lot of that reason is because I think BC could potentially blow out Edmonton. And if that's the case, they might start running the game, slow things down a bit, and potentially show some mercy, even though it is just their home opener and their second game of the season. But that's what I'm worried about. Or else I would be on the full game over. I believe they're going to come out with a huge game plan into the first half. Vernon Adams Jr. and the entire offense and the coaching staff of this BC team, they love going deep. They love it. I mean, every play that they get, they would probably love to throw 30, 40 yards. But there's so many talented receivers. They did lose Lucky Whitehead for a couple of weeks, but they've got Collins, they've got Dominic Rhymes, they've got so many players out there that make plays, a dangerous running back crew as well. And they're playing an Elks team that is coming off a rough performance. But one thing I kind of like is that they're coming off performance that if you watch the game, like I do, I watch every game, you know that there was a lot of potential for them to have 20, 23 points on the board, whereas the score sheet only says 13. And I know, Kelly, a lot of people will say, well, you know what? Who cares about ifs and buts? This is what happened. And I understand that. But when you've got a team that's first and goal, more times than not, they're going to be able to punch that in and put 7 up there on the board. They got stuffed 3 straight times. That's poor play calling last week. But the way I look at it, I'm considering the fact that Edmonton should have had at least 20 points last game. And I believe that the game plan they showed me last week, it was aggressive and I liked it. And Saskatchewan's defense was better than I expected it to be in week 1 against Edmonton. This game should have fireworks from start to finish, but I'm selecting the first half in case BC gets off to a big lead. I don't want to have to worry about them slowing the game plan down and not really keeping their foot on the gas pedal. And this Edmonton team, I'll tell you, they're known for being way better on the road anyway than at home. They just lost their 18th straight home game. 18th straight home game. This is a team that loves playing away from their home stadium. So last year, they were a brand new team on the road compared to at home. I'm hoping that's the case once again this year, and hopefully they can deliver for us in the first half. So over 22.5 points in the first half in tonight's CFL game.
Fellow Canadian Rob Braley is in the chat. He wants to know if we see any regression from Vernon Adams today. He said he almost played a perfect game last week. Do you think that was a fluke, Andrew, or are we expecting to see more of the same?
Well, I mean, being in the dome, I think he's going to play really well. That's where he plays his best football. But Rob's right. Rob really knows his CFL football. I mean, Vernon Adams Jr. looked perfect, Kelly. I mean, there's not a mistake that he could have made. And like I said, he will be without Lucky Whitehead. But I think the defense that they're going up against tonight with the Elks is actually much worse than the defense they saw last week against Calgary. So maybe he won't play as perfect of a game, but the defense that he's going up against is a lot worse than what he saw in week 1. So like I said, I would go with the full game over here, but as you can tell, I'm kind of leaning the BC side, but I do think that the first half we should see points from both.
I like that you said you expected to see some fireworks, had some nice stats about the Elks there on the road. I'm going to be joining you, but Jerbaka wants to know about another game. Do you think the Argos get it done tomorrow?
There's been some really weird line movement in that game, Kelly, and I don't usually get thrown off by line movement in the CFL. Usually I'm on top of it, but I don't like what I've seen. We've seen the favorite get flipped. We've seen it being pretty up and down here. My free play of the week, I did a write up at a video since I think last Wednesday or Tuesday, was on the over in that game. Hamilton's secondary is not getting better anytime soon, but they consistently go downfield. And I saw a pretty cool stat. Bo Levi Mitchell, quarterback for Hamilton, he averaged the longest pass, the depth of pass per play. So I guess I don't really know how to say that. His passes were, he threw the longest passes on average out of every quarterback in week one. There we go. So, and Chad Kelly, you talked about him with me when we did the previews. The guy has potential. He might be kind of a partier and someone to watch out for, but I think the Argos are completely slept on. And how does that make sense? They won the Grey Cup last year, and nobody's giving them really respect. Their win total is only 9.5, and they won 11 games last year. I like the over. I lean towards the Argos, but it's kind of like one of those things, Kelly, where the Argos had a bye in week one. And I'm more of a guy in the CFL that says, you know what, preparation time is more important. But I'm sure you agree with me that real gameplay is important. Hamilton already has a real game under their belt, whereas Toronto, all they've done is practice.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a handicapping perspective, that is huge for college football. Now we have a bunch of really good college football players playing up in Canada, but I would like to think that that theory would still hold true. Right now, you can get Andrew's CFL using $100 off his full season, and he's fresh off that 5% winner I opened up the show with. Woo, Andrew, making me sweat early. CFL 100, that is $100 off Andrew's full CFL season. Nice to get those 5% across the board because those are your strongest plays over at WagerTalk. And sometimes they're a sweat, but we will take that one gladly. Any more questions for Andrew before we wrap up the show? Drop them in the chat box at McInnis Picks. You can get Andrew's CFL all summer long. Andrew, when do you usually start your NFL and college football prep since you do focus on the CFL?
Usually it's cottage time for me, so it's not hot enough where it's been consistently for me to go there. So I'm gonna say like early July, where I'll
Okay.
start. And you know, I talked with you about this last year. I'll be completely transparent. Last year was my first year kind of dipping my toes in and betting the college football consistently, you know, week after week. And one tip that you gave me, and I think everybody gets this tip for college sports, was just keeping it simple, not trying to learn every single team out there. You know, look at the conferences, and that's kind of what I'll do. But for the NFL, I'm already deep into it. Actually, myself, Andy Lang, and Matt Josephs on our Prop It Up show, we've been doing like season-long predictions, like for players, for props, and running backs and quarterbacks. I really enjoy doing those, Kelly, because even though we're months away from the season, it helps me prepare. You know, I didn't think I'd be researching about some of these certain players right now, but it's good for content and it's good for us here on the prop show. The only thing that would really piss me off is that one player, if we talked about, if they get injured or if multiple guys, I feel like I just wasted my time doing this research, but
Well, yeah,
it's
I
been
mean
fun.
that's where I get a little dicey, right? I have not made a single college football futures bet or NFL bet. Things happen. Unfortunately, we saw with Bob Huggins, who happens to be a coach. Will he still hold the job? He was arrested for DUI last night. That could affect the West Virginia basketball team. Luckily, still plenty of time away, but that is always a concern with the summertime. Sometimes kids can get in trouble, injured, things like that. Guys, professionally, we've seen guys get hurt in the preseason. So those types of bets make me really apprehensive locking up my money for an entire season. So I agree with you. Starting some college football prep right now, and then mid-July is usually when I just get completely deep into the NFL. So glad to see we've got some football on the horizon, at least they have a football. I know different rules in the CFL, but it gives us something to watch. I enjoyed watching the game last night. So thank you to you for that 5% winner. No more questions in the chat box, so I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you, Andrew, at McInnis Picks on Twitter. Make sure you guys are giving him a follow. We're going to be here each and every single Saturday, for the unforeseeable future. We've got some stuff coming up on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. I'm going to bring back Bet On It a lot earlier this year so we can get into some of the conferences and divisions that we'll be breaking down for the NFL as well as college football. And, those dog days of summer, guys, we're going to get through them together. Thank you guys for watching Wager Talks TV's Last Call. We'll see you guys next week.